Hello guys, what's good? It is your people's people again. It's your main man now, Justice, or people's disciple. Oh my people, today we came to your way again. As you know, man, we always drop some informations and then these informations are very much endeared to our heart. But today the topic that we brought to you is mystery of Europe to Africa and Africans. It's a problem, like right now, most of the people are still diving into and they don't even have the solution to this problem. Well, what do I mean by the mystery of Europeans to Africa? Well, if one dive back to the generation or the centuries, you will find out there was a time in our life that a group of individuals called themselves as colonizers came into Africa, and this is not one country in Africa, the whole entire Africa was being overtaken by some Europeans. And when this happens, it lasted for centuries. In this period, an education system is being introduced into Africa. In this education system, don't have one single interest of Africans in it. And us as Africans, we've been reading this information for almost 200 to 300 years closely. This is education system that is rooted in the Western civilization and Western values and norms and status and cultures. And in return, what do we get in this education is black inferiority. Because we go to school, we learn, we graduated, we couldn't do anything beneficial for ourselves. We could not do anything that is profitable for us. Because the education system that we've gone through is not a self-supporting education system. Guys, I'm telling you this, and in this, if you go inside your heart, you're going to know that what I'm saying is true. There was a book entitled The Secret of the Ages. And this book was being written by a man called Robert Kallio. And Robert Kallio, in this book, he outlined some of the topics. And in those topics, do you know what he said? And mind you, this book is one of the most senior book of all self-books, self-motivation, and anything of self-endurance. This book more than all those books. Any of the books that you might pick, this book is the pioneer. In that book, he outlined in his own word, he said, education is 3/3 encouragement and 1/3 of information. Well, you don't need to go far. Let's look into this book and then say, what does he mean by education is 3/3 of encouragement and 1/3 of information? Which simply means if you go to the books of any educational arena and you check the books must contain the values of your people. And the book must contain the values, norms, and the culture and the tradition and folklore and mores of your people. For you to see yourself within those people, to be able to do something what they have done in the future, what they have done in the past, for you to be able to program yourself to go safely into this future that you're about to go. Okay, putting that in mind, let's go back to our books in our schools that we've been reading and we've been studying for the last 200 years, and then we see which kind of informations are embedded in these books. If you go to school, from nursery level, all the nursery singing that we do, they are not our mother tongues, they are not our story singings. These singings has nothing to do with our environment, they has nothing to do with our people in their greatness. Never. Every single story in those primary school books and nursery school books, they're all loaded with the Western cultures and Western folklores and mores. And when kids leave the nursery school, they go to primary school, the programming still continues. In junior schools and high schools, we come out from those schools with European values in us. Or what happens when we meet with the Europeans now? Because we are not Europeans, we are Africans now, loaded with the European values. This is the reason why Africans, we cannot get it together in anywhere in the world, because when we go, we just find ourselves as the second class, because of if you learn somebody's culture and his everything. Now, if you meet with the person who is the real person himself, if you meet with him, what will you do? Africans, you cannot ask us about our history for like next 50 years. We don't know it. But Africans, we know European histories for the last 400, 500 years. What has happened? What have they done? Their accomplishment, their everything. But when you ask them about the blacks and Africans, we don't know nothing. Some will even struggle to other countries, you know, what is their language, what they are doing. But if you ask them about Europe, they can name you everything you want to know about Europe. We simply mean we put more attention on Europe than we put attention on our continent. Just look at it. Just a classical example of a Chinese. The Chinese can come to Europe with his university degree and he can't even speak English. He can't speak any of the European languages, but still they're going to take him seriously. Or they're going to take her seriously. But when you come to us, we are the only people on the face of the planet who always speak on other people's language, and then we took it as, I get it. We look at it as a credit. If I speak English very correctly, I think I'm on top of everything. No. If I speak French correctly, I think in my mind I'm on top of everything. No, you are not. A European can never speak an African language and then they feel like he's on top of everything. No. I'm not saying this because I have some stuff for somebody. No, but what I am saying, this is our stuff that we go through. And this education definitely put us in a very dangerous position. It put us in a permanent inferior position, brother. What I'm saying to you, it might be foreign to you, but if you listen to the information, you're going to come to the same conclusion as I did. One thing that I'm telling you, this is the reason why when we get these information from the schools, these informations were definitely not for us. I don't know what happens when our elders were taking the information from the Europeans. The first thing that they should deport away from Africa is supposed to be the education system. Because that education system is still giving us problem. It's still putting our people to the bottom of the social status in every continent we go. And the second point, this is why the signal is been given to every individual. Some get themselves out of it, but majority of them still we get locked into this. If a brother moved away from Africa and then he came to Europe, he saw some of the things in Europe. In every society that you see in the world, it has ups and it has downs. But when we come to Europe, we always focus on the positive in Europe. When we go back to Africa, we give the same information of positivity to our younger ones in Africa. And this is why you've seen now we have over mature population in Africa of youths who don't want to do anything apart from office job. If they have to lose that office job, they just want to go out of Africa to Europe. It's because of the information. And you have some people in Europe here, if you have to be honest to those people, they're not working. You have some of the European citizens, Caucasians, born and bred in Europe here, they've never worked because of they don't have the qualification to work. They don't have the study that it takes for them to work. And then we coming from Africa with a very low altitude of education, a very low status of education. How do we expect to have anything in Europe? I just want you to understand that the Europeans have been educating themselves for almost the last 4 centuries. We are coming from a place whereby all the countries in Africa, they get their independence not more than 70 years old. There is no country in Africa that is more than 70 years old apart from Egypt. No, apart from Egypt and Ethiopia. Every country that you see in Africa is been colonized. Even Egypt at some point in time has been colonized. The only one country we can just strike up and say this country has never been colonized is Ethiopia. But if you look at our education system, it's like a very young education system. How do we have to come from Africa and then compete in Europe? We can't. These things are not just magic. It's not abracadabra. This is not Susanna. And every society, for them to do anything good and beneficial for themselves, they have to study. And you can see this, what I'm saying to you, if you have a soldiers, if you have an army, for you to train those, for you to take those armies to the war battle, or for you to take those armies to do anything meaningful for you, you have to keep them together, you have to train them, you have to give them the mindset. If you set up a company, you want the companies to go, you have to bring people who has the qualification for that. But after that, all the workers in the company, you have to groom them. You have to nurture them. You have to take them to the basic for them to know the values of that company. If they have to work, they are right. Well, when Africans took over Africa from the Europeans, what was the educational system that was being brought to us? To nurture us, to know the values and everything, to maintain the values of Africa. There has never been known. The education system that they used to break us down, we still continue to use the same education system to our people. And this is why now we end up having this big problem in Africa. Everybody you see in Africa wants to come to Europe. Some people don't want to come to Europe, but if you look at the majority of the young population, everything that they want to do is Europe. When I was in Africa, there are certain information that was given to me pertaining to Europe. Those informations were not appropriate. Because when I was in Africa, I was thinking in my mind, if I get to Europe, it's just going to take me 1 year to get everything together. It's going to take me 1 year to gather my everything and then go. I was thinking the people in Europe were very slow. They are not, the black men in Europe, I was thinking, no, they cannot get it together. These guys are not even smart. They are not, I'm faster than them. No. You are not faster than any of the people in Europe right now of African descent. They are doing exactly when you come to Europe what you will do. You will even want to fall behind those people because of their experience alone outweighs you. But what happens if you go to Africa, you talk to boys, this information that was given to our young men destroys us. Because of majority of the brothers, when they were in Europe here back in the days in the 80s and 90s, what were they doing? They don't study anything to do. They don't want to do anything meaningful. Sorry, majority, some of them does some meaningful stuff. I cannot just say all of them, but handful of them were not based on anything. They were just come to Europe and doing whatever they choose to do. I'm not going to go into those details. And when they come to Africa, the kind of lifestyle that they painted for the younger generation is not the lifestyle. Because if they have to give us the litany of every single step that you have to take for you to settle in Europe, most of the people, if they check those and they check and double check it and then they see what they are doing in Africa, most of the people will not even venture the journey. But the information was not a correct information. And right now, the generation that we who are in Europe here, we fell into those traps. And then now we realize that these things are not the truth. Are we going to do the same thing to our younger brothers? If I'm speaking to people in Africa, if they want to come to Europe, the information that I gave them is, if you have everything meaningful to come and do in Europe, if you want to come and study, you have all right to come. If you're doing some sport, football, running, or anything that can earn you any decent, good, a very decent earning of survival, you have right to come here. Even if you have a friend that wants to bring you and take care of your everything until you get your feet on the ground, you can do that. But the way we come to Europe, we just came to Europe blindly. We're thinking there is money falling off everywhere because of somebody has given us an explanation. That is not the truth. We've been given a wrong information. Just like the way colonialism gave us miseducation. Our brothers in Europe, some of them, when they come to Africa, they miseducated the people in there. And right now, this is the point that we are. You see some of the younger brothers in Africa, you're talking to them about some of the difficulties that people go through. They just look at you as, come on, you weak man. You can't talk to me about that, man. Shut up. Because in their mind, if they come to Europe, they're just going to make it. Brother, now I want you to understand. You have thousands and thousands of people in Europe of African descent who got it together. There is no denial about that. But in the flip side, if you look at it, you will find out there are hundreds of thousands of African descents who don't get it together in their 20 to 25 years in Europe. I don't need to do the math for you. You can do the math for yourself if you are in Africa or if you are in Europe. Because we've seen people, when we were young in Africa, they traveled to Europe. 20 years, 30 years, still they're in Europe. They can't even do one thing at home. And these people, if you look at them before they traveled, what they were doing outweighed what they're doing now. So I'm saying all this thing to say, we definitely have responsibility as Africans. It doesn't matter whether we are in Africa, it doesn't matter whether we are in Europe. Africans, our identity could not be made by any other group of people apart from Africans. Right now, we have an identity problem, we have an identity crisis, and everybody who is in Europe knows about that. We got to believe in our stuff. We have to believe in our Africa. Africa is the motherland. Africa is everything, brother. Africa is everything. There is no continent that can survive without Africa. There is no continent in the world that can do something without the help of the Africans. But if you go to the histories and then you go to the books and you go to the medias, Africans are always put into the bottom for everybody to work on us. And nobody is not going to pick us up for us to stand. No, we have to do that for ourselves. And how are we going to do that? Let's start giving correct information to each other.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think is nowadays the cause that people in Africa are thinking that Europe and America and so on are the countries of gold and honey and everything? What is the reason of nowadays younger generation to believe in that?
The reason your question was very, very much nice, and then I'm so happy that you asked me this question. Because of the dogma. Because of the dogmatic brainwashing education that has been passed. If you look at the BBC, you listen to BBC, you listen to all these news outlets, what they talk about Africa. BBC focus on Africa. When they're talking about Africa, if you're living in Africa, you don't even have hope. Every government of Africa, if they're talking about, they never talk about their merits. They never talk about the credits that they do. They never talk about the achievement of anything in Africa. Never. Every time that they're talking about is how this country don't get it together. How there is war, corruption, everything. I'm telling you, African kids now, they get to the point whereby we get discouraged about our governmental system. And now we took things into our own hands. Because we don't see any effort done by the government. Some governments does, and some government, they're coming to the plate now. They're striving to do everything. But as you understand, Africa is the only continent that has been exploited for the last 400 years, and nobody gives us time to rebuild ourselves. Every 20 years there's new gem on us. Every 20 gem they will introduce a new gem. If you understand that gem, the whole ball gem changes. If you understand it, another ball gem. If you understand it, another ball gem. It gets to the point whereby an African kids in Africa don't have any confidence, don't have any hope, don't have any way out in Africa. So he has to do everything it takes to get out of Africa. I know what I'm saying to you. I've traveled the world. I've traveled within Africa alone. Just coming from West Africa to go to the Libya, to cross that place, you will see women on the way. You will see kids on the way, below 15 years. Back in the days, these people will never dream of traveling because they cannot. They will not even be allowed to. But now, people are coming from Africa and they're going to kill themselves in the sea. I was saying that. And everybody who saw that one, you know what I'm saying to you. Man, we struggle to the last level of struggle. And the point is, we have to now start trusting each other as Africans. Because if we don't trust each other as Africans, we're going to be in this zone for the rest of the time. Man, this information is not easy, I know, but somebody has to say it. Because a lot of people are in a very big misunderstanding stage. They don't know what is happening. the Africans in Europe, we are trying to explain everything to the people in Africa, but somehow they cannot get the information. And in people in Africa, they just believe that if you are in Europe, you have to do everything that they ask you to do. Because of that was the narrative that was painted for us. Now look at it. Europeans don't even travel. They don't go for holidays as they used to do 20 years or 15 years. Because of it's getting stuck in Europe right now. It's getting tough. Every day you wake up in Europe. So if you were in Africa, you're doing anything good, brother, I want to encourage you for you to continue doing that and expand it as much as you can. Please try to find some like-minded human beings, like-minded guys like you, and gather them together. You make your that stuff expanded. For us brothers in Europe, yeah, if you have anything, please look at somebody in Africa who can do something for you, and then you start doing something in there. When I will be coming to your way again for this kind of discussion, you know, because of this discussion, definitely it disturbs me, and I'm the victim of it. So I have to say it, because I am the victim of it. I am the victim of it to the bottom. I promise you, I am the victim of it to the bottom. Miseducation and misinformation, I am the victim of it. So man, this is what I'm gonna give you for now, man. But I'll be coming to your way. I promise you. I promise you, I will be coming to your way. But one thing I want to tell you now, if you find this video very much interesting, please subscribe, like this video, and share it to any of your friends. And then you put your comments on the below. I promise you that those comments will be looked at. And this is your man, Justice, okay? The people's disciple. With that, I'm out, okay?